and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Anne Jibuno. The headlines. President Buhari expresses grief over killing of farmers on rice fields in Borno State. Independent National Electoral Commission says all is set for conduct of Imo North Senatorial District by-election. Baby in Singapore born with coronavirus antibodies. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed grief over the killing of farmers on rice fields at Zabamari in Jere local government area of Borno State, describing the terrorist killings as insane. In a statement, the president says the entire country is hurt by these senseless killings and prayed Allah to grant the souls of the departed rest. He said his thoughts are with the bereaved families in this time of grief. President Buhari said all the needed support had been given to the armed forces to take necessary steps to protect the country's population and its territory. Similarly, the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has condemned the killing of rice farmers by terrorists in Zabamari, Borno State. In a statement by the Special Advisor to the President of the Senate on Media and Public Affairs, Senator Lawan described the incident as another act of barbarism against innocent Nigerians. He says the heinous crime is particularly sad given the ongoing spirited efforts by the federal government at ensuring food security in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has also condemned the killings. In a statement by his Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Lanre Lasisi, Gbajabiamila expresses sadness over the killings of the innocent rice farmers, adding that the incident has once again brought to the fore the need for more military action against the terrorists. In the meantime, 34 out of the 43 people killed by persons suspected to be Boko Haram terrorists on rice farms at Zabamari village of Zere local government area of Borno State have been laid to rest. The state governor, Babagana Omara Zurum, attended the funeral where he condemned the attack and stressed the need for enhanced collaboration with neighboring countries to end terrorism and senseless killings. Mohammed Goni has details.
Zabarmari and Koshebe villages are some of the areas known for cultivation of rice and other farm produce, with people from different parts of the country depending on the area for their livelihoods. It was these innocent Nigerians that were massacred by the suspected Boko Haram insurgents. A survivor of the attack on farmlands, Usman Ismail, said the victims were picked by the insurgents on different farmlands and assembled them under the pretext that they will be interrogated, after which they were slaughtered one after the other.
Muna tsamman sun tattara mutane ne a matsayin za su je su doka musu kaya su kai, ashe ba haka bane. Da suka gama tara mutane sai su kawo yan uwansu saura su tare mutane sai su shiga daji su sake su taro mutane su zo da su. Idan suka kawo suka rufe sai su sake su koma su gargado mutane, ba harbi suke ba balle ka ji ka gudu.
Governor Bagana Umara, who attended the funeral prayer, also condoled the communities affected by the massacre, praying Allah to grant the deceased souls eternal rest and the families they left behind the fortitude to bear the loss. The governor also stressed commitment of government to explore all options to protect farmers on their farmlands, including digging trenches to fortify them.
Our people are in very difficult conditions. They are in two extreme conditions. On one side, if they stay at home, they may be killed by hunger and starvation. They cannot go out to their farmlands because they should be killed by the insurgents. We shall re-strategize and ensure domination, entire domination of this area, the Zabaramari Gongolong, Koshebe exists. We shall ensure recruitment of more civilians, yet more hunters.
The governor, who acknowledged efforts of the federal government in the counter-insurgency operations, also called for recruitment of more use of Borno extraction to join the security formations, including the Nigerian military. Apart from the 34 buried, more bodies are being evacuated from different farmlands, while members of the affected communities say the number could be higher than the 43 earlier announced. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Still staying with security, the Nigerian Navy is pressing on it with its mission to provide a more conducive environment for its personnel to live and work while defending the nation's territorial waters. As the Naval High Command inaugurates some completed infrastructural projects at the Nigerian Navy Barracks, Ogara, in Delta State. The projects, inaugurated by the Flag Officer Commanding Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Oladile Daji, on behalf of the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibogete Bas, include asphalted road network, fully furnished cluster of 3 blocks of 4 flats, accommodation for junior officers, and gymnasium. The Flag Officer Commanding Headquarters, Nigerian Navy Logistics Command, Ogara, Rear Admiral Smaila Lassa, on his part, expressed the belief that the completed projects would no doubt help boost the morale of officers and men in the command as they discharge their duties for protecting maritime resources.
Obviously, the completed houses will reduce accommodation deficit within the barracks, while the gymnasium is expected to encourage regular exercises for longevity of fitness and health of the personnel. The benefit of good network of road advantages cannot be overemphasized.
Some of the projects were named after some past flag officers commanding for their contributions to the development of the command. Away from security, population control has been identified as a way out if Nigeria must be counted among the economically viable countries of the world. Speakers at the media roundtable of the 6th Nigeria Family Planning Conference also observed that this will reduce the rate of maternal mortality in the country. Basi Taikpang reports.
It is an established fact that families who face childbirth are better prepared to give their children adequate care. Mothers, on the other hand, have more time to assist with the developmental tasks of child upbringing, while families have more time to bond with each child. And the result is a happy and productive society, which explains the need for child spacing. To enlighten the public on these and other issues is the reason a conference of this nature is held biannually by the Association for the Advancement of Family Planning in Nigeria.
Family planning is very, very important, and we have seen just the decision of an individual or a family to take up family planning or contraceptive can affect and boomerang to the whole society.
They know what they think, what other people think affects their action about family planning.
The theme of this conference is Post-Family Planning 2020 Agenda and Safeguarding Investment in Emergencies, Adaptation, Innovation, and Resilience. Basi Taikpang, NTA News.
And to speak more on child spacing, Dr. Ejike Orji, Chairman Association for Advancement of Family Planning, is joining us. Dr. Glad, it's good to have you join us this evening.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Now, the Nigeria Family Planning Conference is held biannually. What is the new thing you're bringing to the table for Nigerians concerning child spacing?
Yes, we've been having this conference for the past, should I say, 10 years. Every 2 years, we try to bring Germantines to the fore. We have a new thing on the table now, the pandemic. During the pandemic, a lot of women were not able to have access to family planning services. There was a lot of gender-based violence. There was a complete disruption of normal services, including family planning. So what this conference is trying to bring to fore is for us to refocus, even though COVID-19 tried to draw away resources from other services, to also make sure that we tell people that family planning services are still very, very important, especially in this time of pandemic. During the lockdown, people couldn't have access to services. So we want to make sure that post that pandemic lockdown, as we move on in the next 2 years, will be the pandemic, that we pay attention to all those areas. And that's why this conference is being called between the 7th and the 11th of December this year.
Okay, now, why has Nigeria not been able to meet the 2020 family planning commitment?
Yes, it's a mixture of so many things. First of all, we haven't had adequate funding. Before 2011, all the money that is being used for buying commodities were donated by donors. But graciously, the federal government put $3 million in the first instance in 2012, and then in 2018, they added another million, making it $4 million as counterpart support. But every year, at least now, we need about $26 million to purchase commodities. So the shortfall out of that $26 million is provided by donors. We feel that we should do more. And not only that the money is made available, most often than not, it's not released as and when due. So that will mean that there will be shortages next year if they are not released properly this year. The other one is the myth and misconceptions about family planning. A lot of women feel that there are side effects that will affect them when they are taking family planning services. But those are all myths. They are not correct. It's just a few people who have such problems. But then, the fact that we do not have family planning services is also making a lot of problems. We are in a population crisis, a demographic crisis. But if we do the correct thing, we'll transit from it. But it's a deliberate effort that we have to put in place for 20 years. It's not a knee-jerk approach. We need to do deliberate things for the next 20 years for us to come from doom or through crisis to transition to prosperity. And it has to be deliberate, and we should start now. And the first thing to do is to make sure that women have the family planning service that they need.
Certainly. Let's look at the theme for this year, the focus for this year. It is on post-family planning 2020 agenda and safeguarding investment in emergencies, adaptation, innovation, as well as resilience. What is this aimed at achieving?
What we're trying to say here is that Nigeria committed in the global initiative of FP 2020, which said that by 2020, additional 120 million women and girls should have access to right-based qualitative family planning services. We did say by this year we'll increase our contraceptive prevalence rate to 27%. We are still at 12. So there's another commitment coming next year, 2021, which will now be 2030. So we want to make sure that we look at the gaps, the achievements we have had in the past years, and see how we can plan to make sure that we meet the next target coming 2030. So this is part of what we're going to start discussing in this conference. The other area is to look at family planning services during emergencies. Even though we're talking about the pandemic, we have a lot of IDPs, and within the IDP setting is a humanitarian setting. A lot of women do not have access to services, and in fact, there are a lot of gender-based violence. So that's why we want to make sure that we are a bit innovative and we are resilient in what we are doing, not stopping, not being deterred until we achieve our purpose. And the only way we can do that is to make sure we keep focusing and refocusing on issues of family planning in our country. Is the only way and only way to go.
Thank you very much. I wish you the best in your efforts. Dr. Ejike Orji, Chairman, Association for Advancement of Family Planning in Nigeria.
Technical Management Committee. I'm the Technical Management Committee of the association.
Thank you very much for joining us. Still staying with some health stories as well as other stories. Singapore witnesses birth of baby with coronavirus antibodies just as President Donald Trump loses another election court challenge. Joyce Ometu brings us up on these and other trending news on the global scene.
A Singaporean woman who was infected with COVID-19 in March while pregnant has given birth to a baby with antibodies against the virus. Reports say this may offer a new clue as to whether the infection can be transferred from mother to child. In France, the country's highest court on Sunday ordered the government to review a law limiting the number of people during religious services to 30. However, the council said in a statement that the measure was not proportionate to the coronavirus infection risks. Meanwhile, Iraqi schools have opened their doors to 10 million students for the first time since the country entered a COVID-19 lockdown in late February. Schools are expected to operate 6 days a week instead of 5 in a bid to maintain physical distancing. As at 6 p.m. Nigeria time, Worldometer coronavirus dashboard showed that the virus has infected 62,755,483 persons globally, with Africa accounting for 2,166,135 of the total figure, while Nigeria's total case count has increased to 67,330. In other news, Ethiopia's Prime Minister says federal police are searching for leaders of the Tigray People's Liberation Front after soldiers entered the regional capital. He added that Mekel's capture marked the last phase of the 3-week conflict. Meanwhile, Sydney has reported its hottest November night, with the official start of summer still days away. The city recorded a minimum overnight temperature of 25.4 degrees Celsius and then hit 40 degrees Celsius during daytime on Sunday. In the U.S., Pennsylvania's highest court has struck out a lower court's order preventing the state from certifying dozens of contests from the November 3 election. The state Supreme Court unanimously threw out the order, saying the underlying lawsuit was filed months after the law allowed for Pennsylvania's year-old mail-in voting law. And that's a global update. I am Joyce Umetu.
Thanks a lot, Joyce. We take a break now. More stories when we return. Stay with us.
The counsel of our fathers.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Entel 4G. Entel. Live more.
Still watching the news at 7 on NT International. Governor Aminu Bello Masari of Katsina State has flagged off the distribution of COVID-19 palliatives donated to the state by individuals and organizations. More than 12,000 households were earmarked to benefit from the relief materials. Awal Haliru has details.
The emergence of COVID-19 pandemic witnessed an unprecedented solidarity and cooperation between private sector and government at federal and state level to provide a concerted effort of addressing negative effects of the pandemic. The Victims Support Fund of the foundation donated more than 11,000 assorted food items, personal protective equipment, and essential hygiene products to Katsina State government.
The assistance will cushion the effects of our present situation.
Governor Aminu Bello Masari explained that the donation would complement the commitment of the state government to addressing the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on socio-economic life of the people.
The state government has taken proactive measures which have yielded the required result of curtailing the spread of the pandemic and the activities of bandits that have developed our state and other parts of northwestern.
The leader of the Victim Support Fund, Toyesin Okerele Ogunsiji, said the foundation embarked in rebuilding government broken infrastructures and women empowerment programs since the beginning of the pandemic.
We were given 4,422 bags each of rice, beans, and maize, and then 4,422 gallons of 4-liter vegetable oil and salt.
The chairman of the State Task Force on COVID-19, Deputy Governor Manuri Yakubu, stated that implementation committee has been constituted to undertake the distribution of the relief items. Awal Haliru, NTA News.
It is a thing of joy when individuals and corporate organizations complement government's efforts in making life better for the people. This is the position of Women of Zion of the Redeemed Christian Church of God as they provide medical support and potable water for residents of Barwa Village, Gosa District of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday reports.
Situated about 5 kilometers away from the popular Gosa markets in the Federal Capital Territory, Berua is said to have about 7,000 inhabitants who are faced with the challenge of potable water, like other communities in the suburb of the territory. After analysis, a medical outreach and potable water for the people were agreed upon.
I was like, where are we going to? How people sure there is village here? But when I entered this place, I was like, no, God is really, really wonderful.
About 60% of the cases here are related to waterborne diseases, poor drinking water. Then others are related to other cardiovascular diseases, common to the elderly.
With the provision of this facility, it is obvious that the challenge of waterborne disease will be reduced to the lowest level.
They need this water, and God has used us to bring this water of life to them, to alleviate their suffering.
Whether you are a member to this church, you are not a member to this church, this water will be drink for everybody, free.
A multipurpose auditorium was also inaugurated by the leadership of the women group.
Without this living water, man cannot survive spiritually. Link up with this water of life so that you can have life eternally and more abundantly.
There were food, clothes, and other gift items for the people and the spirit of the season. Adebola, Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
A bit on politics. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Imo State, says all is set for the smooth conduct of the Imo North Senatorial District by-election, which comes up on the 5th of December 2020. The Imo State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Professor Francis Ezeonu, made this known while briefing journalists in Abuja. In Owerri. Faith Igwilo has details.
The Imo State INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner, Professor Francis Ezeonu, says the commission has put in place necessary measures to ensure a credible and transparent by-election. He says sensitive and non-sensitive materials are already available and will be inspected by the commission 48 hours before the election.
The central bank materials will get to the local government. And then by Friday, that's the sensitive materials, the smart card readers, all the result sheets, EC8A, EC8B, and EC8D, they will all get to, and EC8E as well, they will all get to the polling units and the constituency offices. Presently, we are as ready as we can be.
On the Himembano and Ezini-Hitembise INEC offices, which were vandalized and set ablaze during the NSAS protest, the REC says alternative measures have been put in place to ensure a hitch-free exercise. He further says that the NCDC COVID-19 preventive measures will be strictly adhered to in view of the need to ensure the safety of voters.
The chairman of the transition committee at the Himembano has been very, very cooperative. He has given us a place to stay in the interim so that we can conduct the election. We have also received the pharmaceutical intervention materials for COVID-19. This includes the hand sanitizers, face mask, face shield. We have also received methylated spirits and cotton wool to ensure that we don't encourage COVID-19 transmission.
The Imo North Senatorial District by-election, slated to hold 5th of December 2020, will be conducted to fill the vacancy created by Senator Benjamin Owajumogu, who died last year. From Owerri, Faith Igwilo, NTA News.
Occupying the highest position in the civil service, the permanent secretaries are key in actualizing government's policies and aims. Now, this is why the federal government, through the Ministry of Budget and National Planning, is organizing a capacity-building retreat to ensure a common front in government's fight against corruption. Chimobi Walter Nnajina reports.
The retreat for permanent secretaries organized by the Federal Ministry of Budget and National Planning is a public-private engagement with Conrad Adenauer Stiftung. Its objective targets refreshing and equipping participants with effective policy formulation procedure in the process of developing the new short and long-term development plan of the federal government.
The modules will get everyone involved in an intensive immersion experience, covering cross-cutting topics and emerging issues of global importance. These issues have far-reaching impact on the efficiency of government business. In particular, the Lean Sigma training will equip you with the various skills that benefit not only your immediate governmental responsibilities, and by extension the government, but also your individual everyday interactions as well.
Good governance, when internalized and applied by government actors, translates everywhere in the world into respect for the rule of law, transparency, accountability, efficiency, and equity. Furthermore, important preconditions of good governance are also a process of strategic long-term planning.
The retreat explores various leadership principles and practices that will ensure a proper succession plan in the civil service, build emotional intelligence in problem solving and conflict resolution, as well as critical thinking for progressive governance.
Most of the time, our officers and stakeholders have access to information on resources of the ministry, perhaps even before the permanent secretaries get to know. And so communication is key. And there's certainly nothing wrong in wide consultation.
The retreat is drawing participants from all federal government ministries. In Abuja, Chimubi Walter Naji, NT News.
Up next is Monday's weather prospects for Nigeria and other cities of the world. Well, that's the news for now. Thanks for staying with us. Remember to connect with the NTA and stand against rape and rapists.